Hi, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Kasravi. Thank you for joining us for our regular Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time session where you take your questions about U.S. immigration live on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I recommend following us on YouTube primarily because we answer the questions most there. Our systems are set up for YouTube primarily. Go to U.S. Immigration Talk or JQK Law, subscribe, and you'll get notifications because we frequently do, especially last week, pop-up sections where we answer questions for educational purposes only about U.S. immigration law. I'm a U.S. immigration attorney, founder of the JQK law firm. We help families, small investors, and people with extraordinary ability and talents all across the world and in America, cases everywhere, not just where we're headquartered in Los Angeles and my associate is in Virginia, but we help everybody because it's all done by mail and email and video and that stuff. So we don't have to be where you are to do your case. And we frequently help people in all sorts of places, Florida, New York, Washington State, and people outside the country, Russia, China, Iran, Pakistan, everywhere. So we're happy to come here and take some questions every week and along with the pop-ups so you get a better idea of who we are and also get a chance to better understand the wild immigration process that we are going through because it changes constantly and helps people get some peace of mind. And a lot of times when you look up information about U.S. immigration online, you'll find things that are different, and even lawyers say different things that don't match up. So again, my perspective on my experience, 15 plus years of talking about this stuff, and also just teaching this stuff and publishing podcasts on it, magazines, and articles, and speaking on it at conferences, all that kind of stuff. If you have already, please like and subscribe where you're watching this, and share the feed, especially live feed, so other people know that we're here to take questions. They could shoot out a question. They get a better understanding of what's going on in this wild immigration system. If you're interested in a marriage green card or fiance case, we have a guide called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. You can download it at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. It's a PDF, 70 plus pages, I think, that's going to go through the process, be very helpful. And that was so successful that we created another one called the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide. And you could download that at this website, jqqlaw.com/citizenship. That's jqqlaw.com/citizenship. 50 plus pages going through all the steps of the citizenship process. So you have an idea what's going on before you make a decision to file the case or hire an attorney. Good to have that initial education. It's educational purpose only, not intended for as individual legal guidance. Inevitably, better to have a good attorney you're talking with, but something to do. My TikTok saying invite CBS News to join live as a guest. I'm not sure how we can do that, but we'll give it a shot, see what it says, what happens. I wonder if CBS News is like a fake person or a real person. Oh, it's not working. Well, let's see. Okay, so let's get to questions. Feel free to shout out your questions, and we'll get it going. I'm live on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And today, when it comes to all the stuff that's happening in immigration, it's pretty wild, the stuff that's happening. The government is, trying to kick out this one guy that accused of being a gang member and send him to Africa, even though he's not from there. That's a new tactic they're doing. Paul, thank you so much for getting the gifter badge and starting the liking. Please like the live feed so we could get more attention and more people could ask questions. So I appreciate that. They're starting to pop in. Irfan, thanks for joining. Paul, again, thanks for the like. And Lam Sung, thanks for joining us. And the likes, much appreciated, much pressing. Bryden asks, why are my NBC visa and affidavit payments not going through? So when you're doing a case for a green card for someone who's overseas, consular processing, one step is handling with a national visa center known as the NVC. They shortened it. And the starting step for that is, starting paying the fees for it, the affidavit support fee and the, what is the other fee? So it's like $445. One's $325, one's $120. And you got to pay that. But the problem is the website constantly has problems where the payments won't go through. So when that happens, you got to go to the Ask NBC page and let them know that your site's not working. And hopefully it'll fix it and you keep trying. But that does happen sometimes where the fee system just doesn't work. So we got to contact them or wait and keep trying. Maybe try it through a different browser, Chrome, Mozilla, Firefox, Safari. Try it incognito mode. You got to play all these games with the NBC. Even once you're in, it's even more difficult because sometimes when you're filling out the questionnaire form DS260, it'll keep logging you out. Or worse, I have this problem a lot. It won't let me even log into the NBC. So when I click on it to go into it, it'll say timed out. It keeps saying weird stuff. So it could drive you crazy dealing with the National Visa Center, but that's one major thing that you're aware of. But yeah, keep trying. Try different web browsers and contact them if needed. But it is a problem that happens a lot. Brandon, you're not alone. BJ asks, how long for approval in I-130 for an F-2A case? F-2A is a spouse or minor child, unmarried, of a green card holder. Those are taking 2 or 3 years for the I-130 portion of the case to approve. The portion that talks about reviews your relationship is correct or not, closer to 3 years nowadays. But the visa bulletin moved up. The line for spouses of green card holders minor children was saying in 3 to 5 years, but that line moved up a lot. So although right now, last month, let's say it was taking 2 or 3 years for the I-130 to be approved, they're probably going to speed up those approvals. But your case is probably pending. So if it has been 2 or 3 years, that's not unknown. That's pretty typical. But that's what's looking at. Now, it's very important. You check your I-130 petition that you submitted, that if your spouse is overseas or minor child is overseas, that you mark that you're going to do consular processing in the home country embassy, not adjustment of status. If you marked adjustment of status, which happens frequently, they'll keep the case here in the U.S., and you got to submit another form, wait another year for the case to be submitted and moved to the National Visa Center that I talked about earlier in the embassy system. So you want to make sure you didn't make that mistake, but the other delays are pretty typical. Alfredo asks, hi, good evening. Good evening. My question is that how can I add an attorney to my existing I-589 application in progress, not submitted yet? Well, if you're going to hire an attorney, the attorney can know this, so it's you don't need to worry about that. But the attorney can submit their G28 if it's USCIS or the court version of the G28 and be added to the case. And so it's not something you need to be worried about. The attorney, once you're hired, will do that on their own. So that's a pretty simple situation right there. Brandon says, how do you fix it? Okay, I got into that in detail. You're welcome, man. Appreciate that. If y'all, Azim Bud, I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for the gifter badge. We already got 610 likes. I appreciate it. Let's go for, I got 20,000 likes last Tuesday, I think it was, last Friday or something. So let's see how far we go. But we have a question here about, what was the question? How to fix, okay, thank you. Oh, the question disappeared, sorry. So let's see about that. Susie says, it's safe to travel internationally if I have an LPR, having an LPR received 2024 and a DUI 2018. So if you already got your green card after having the DUI, it's probably okay. But you could get flagged and sent to secondary for review. We got to see what happened in DUI, what paperwork you had. But it was just one DUI. You didn't hit anybody. You have the court documents. You did your time and whatever is needed. And it didn't come like a felony or a severe misdemeanor and all that stuff. And you told them in the I-485 or adjustment of status application or the DS2C of the embassy. So we got to review everything. If you did everything by the book, you might have delays at the reentry to the United States with the consular board, not consular, CBP, Customs and Border Protection. But typically it's okay. But I need to know more details about what happened, what the facts surrounding were. But you could get hassled. I mean, just held up and they go look in the system. It'll take a while. But typically it's okay. But I need to review all the documents before I can say it's okay, safe for you to do that. If you haven't already, please share this live feed. Invite your friends to come watch. We already got 1,000 likes. Let's see, go for 20,000. We got 20,000 on Friday. Let's see if we can match that. We got 20,000 in like 15 minutes. Pretty crazy. But let's see where we go and shoot out your questions so we could answer more questions and have a good time. Alfredo says he's kind of inexperienced pro bono lawyer. He doesn't know much about that either, unfortunately. Then Alfredo, you definitely don't want to hire that person. Hiring inexperienced attorney could cause your situation to get even worse. So it's better not to have a lawyer than do one that's that experienced, doesn't know how to submit a G28. That means they have no idea what's going on in the process if you don't know that one. That's like the ABCs, like, okay, just send a form to government, say your lawyer, very easy to look up. If they don't know that, then don't bother working with that person. I know it's hard, you want to have a lawyer, but that doesn't help. Having an incompetent lawyer, it doesn't help any. I don't like to badmouth other lawyers, but if they don't know about that part, then that's not good. Safa says, can an F2 get visa stamped again after it got canceled during travel to U.S. at pre-clearance Abu Dhabi without any reason given? If pre-clearance could be annoying, you want to avoid that, especially if you're Iranian going to Abu Dhabi and dealing with that. Yeah, it can be, but it depends. So typically I've seen people have these cases where they even mistakenly, avoid the F1 or the F2. These are student visas and spousal student visas. You go back to the embassy and interview, and they'll issue it again. But it depends on why it happened and what the background is. We got to look into that. But I've had it where people go and reissue it. The embassy says, sorry that the CBP did that, but sorry, that's about it. Nothing we can do about that. So it's not impossible. We got to see what happened, but there's a good chance that they just made a mistake and you can just get a new one. Having said that, if you're Iranian background, that's going to be problematic getting a new visa now. So that, I'm not sure. Your name might be Arabic, but Safa Tayyab, that sounds like Persian. So that could be a problem because there's travel ban on Iranians right now. Paul says, how long before USCIS sends out the receipt after tracking shows those delivered? Adjustment application. Typically, send the receipt out a week or two after getting it. We also send an additional form with the application that causes them to send a text message. But the best way you'll know they have it is they're going to cash the check or the credit card that's used to submit it. Hopefully, you didn't submit a money order or something like that. That way you can track it and you know that they got it. Double says, is this safe to travel internationally on a travel document gone through VAWA? Is it safe? I wouldn't recommend it. Unless it's an emergency, that's not a good reason to leave the United States under the current circumstances. So I wouldn't recommend traveling. King Rusty, thank you for the gifter badge. We got 2,000 likes. Thank you very much. Feel free to live and share this feed. Yeah says I applied for EB2 national interest waiver, Canadian, U.S. grad letters from university president, job lined up, plan to start business soon. Okay, got to get a question in there, but okay. Christina says, hello, I sent the VAWA case with the green card application in June. I still didn't get any answer. Yeah, it's going to take a while. You probably haven't got a receipt either. VAWA case is going to take years, unfortunately, to get a decision on that one. Hopefully not that long, but it's backed up. Samet says, after my biometrics appointment for adjustment of status, my 10 interview step also got completed. Is it normal? Yeah, the website has an error where once you do the biometrics, it says the 10 interview is done. Everyone gets this. It's an error. It riles people up, but it's not that. Amsa says, M400 taking longer now. No, it just depends on the embassy. I applied since June, no interview yet. June, July, August, September, October. It's only 5 months. In immigration world, that's like nothing. So it's not a big deal. Just wait a little bit longer. Kaiba says, is it a good time to apply after 1 year of marriage? I'm an F1 student. There's no time left. If you get download our guide, first of all, Kaiba, marriageimmigrationlaw.com is the website, and marriageimmigrationlaw.com. If you haven't applied yet, then it's probably better you have a consultation with us, talk about it, because I see what's taking so long that you even are putting it off, this kind of delay. And you're an F1 student, you might have been traveling. There's a lot going on there, so I strongly recommend scheduling a private consultation to discuss your case. But download our guide first so you see what kind of stuff we do. marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And we have links to all our videos on every step in there too, so you can see more information there. Samit, thank you so much for the gifter badge. We're at 2,400 likes. Thank you, everybody, for liking. Yeah says, do you think I have a good chance? I have a good packet built up. Yeah. You just tell me you went to school and have a letter. How am I going to make that decision? How am I going to judge something like so big as a national interest waiver based on which I don't even know what field you're in, what you've done. This isn't the place to have an EB NIW review. Sorry, only lets me add so many words. I hear you. Parmeet says, if you still married U.S. citizen, green card, 10 years, 5-year residency, 5-year rule or 3-year rule. If you're still married U.S. citizen, green card, 10 years, 5-year residency. Parmeet, please schedule. I don't understand what your question is saying. Download our guide. We have it all in this, our ultimate citizenship naturalization guide. It's at jqqlaw.com/citizenship. Your answer is probably in there, jqqlaw.com/citizenship. Fill that out. Just get that guide. And then if you still want to talk about schedule consultation, because I got to see what's going on in your background, how long you had your visa, green card, when you got it, how you got it, how long you've been living physically with your wife or spouse, how we could document the life together. If you even need to do a 3-year as opposed to 5-year, if you've had a green card for 10 years, what's the point of it? What your absences are, what your tax payment history is, military history, all this kind of stuff and more. We got to review that. So there's bigger picture stuff to keep you protected, have the safest application that we could put together for you. But download the guide first. Again, it's jqqlaw.com/citizenship. And we're almost at 2,800 likes, almost at 3,000. So I appreciate everyone who's liking and sharing the feed. Kaiba says, after applying I-130 until it gets approved, what happens to my current status in school? As long as you maintain your F1 status, you're missing the bigger picture. I-130 is just the petition. There's affidavit of support as well. There's adjustment of status and affidavit of support as well. That's the bigger thing going on right there. But if you're in the U.S. and you're continuing school and you're not breaking the school rules, you're not dropping out or getting low grades, and you don't travel internationally a lot, nothing happens. But we got to talk more because there's red flags that triggers in my head. Like, person said this and this. That means like they got to get some deeper knowledge about the process that's unique to them. So I strongly recommend going to our website, jqqlaw.com, and clicking on the contact button and scheduling a private consultation to discuss what's going on. It's taking you so long to start the case and what your future plans are. Your spouse, what they're doing, how much do they make? Are they citizen or green card holder? Do you have any arrest history? When your last entry was? All this kind of stuff. SDR says, what's your fees? Is it on your website? No, fees are dependent on the case that we're dealing with and what kind of issues they have. So we only charge what people need to be charged. We don't want to overcharge people. So we want to listen and see what's going on and then charge accordingly. And so that's that. Unless you want to do an hourly rate, which could be, who knows how much it'll be. But we do fixed rates for most cases. But we got to know what's going on with the person's background first and to see if it's like, how much you're charging because we don't overdo it. We have payment plans. Depends on the case. So sometimes people have a really simple thing that's like $1,000. We're not gonna do a payment plan on $1,000. But if it's several $1,000s, we try to work it out so it's like payments over a 3 or 4 month period. But we do provide payment plans depending on the case, and more frequently we're doing it. But it depends on the person and what the case is. DGR says, I have 2 questions. If you could let me up and ask, please. Well, you just ask. That's what everyone's doing. Okay, let's see. You got a flash goal. What is a flash goal? Let's see. View. What's a flash goal? Flash goal. 3 gifters send Rose Bear to your live in 15 minutes. Well, that's great. Thank you so much. We're at 2,900 likes. Achieve the optional goal to win. I'm not sure what that means, but for a start, let's see what's happening now. Flash goal. Pin. Achieve this goal. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm playing the TikTok games while I'm watching. I'm not sure what's going on. Alfredo asks, how much does I-589 cost with you? Well, we don't do I-589's asylum, and no lawyer is going to give you an answer like how much it costs. It's not like buying bread or like some tomatoes or something like that. It depends on your case, what's going on. But we don't do asylum cases, so it wouldn't be helpful for you. But that's that. How long does the process take for an I-75 when they'll submit it in May 2025? It'll probably take between 6 months to 3 years. So either they get done usually in 6 or 9 months, or they take 2 or 3 years. That's what I'm seeing with my cases. And if you've been married and living with a U.S. citizen, you just file for citizenship, and that usually speeds up the process. SCRs for adjustment of status, how much approximately? No bad background either on our side. So people don't know what bad background or good background is in the immigration process. So when people say I have no bad background, usually I mean it's the opposite. And not that you've done bad stuff, but once we dig into your history, your paperwork, we notice errors that are happening. We have people whose birth certificates have the wrong name on them. So that creates a lot of work, but they never looked at it until they started working with us. That happens all the time. People's passports have errors. People who like got arrested, they didn't realize it. They have a warrant out for their arrest. They don't even know it. It was a mistake even. It's not, they didn't do anything. So that's why we got to sit and talk with you. Just asking for price, it's like, it's not realistic of like what good service is going to be. If I just say this much, that much, that means I don't care about my clients, that everyone's the same cost and says, okay, just pull out like how much is this pencil? It's like a pencil is a fixed thing that repeats every time. Your case, your life changes every time. Each person that contacts me has a different life. So I gotta, unless I'm gonna look at you as the same person every time and not care, I can't do this kind of like this. How much it is like some people do in some lines of business. Our business is dealing with people and their situations, and we have to adjust accordingly to what that is. And sometimes it's more expensive, sometimes it's cheaper. So that's why we have a consultation to see what's going on, what services you need, and if we can help you and what background issues exist that we judge. Because again, you're not doing this every day filing these, so you don't necessarily know what a bad background or a bad is not a good term to put on it. You don't know what like red flags are for the government. So you can have a perfect case, but you have this travel that was wrong here, or you said something this other application that's wrong. You don't even know it was wrong. And that happens all the time. That's what we do every day. That's why we don't like to quote fees like that. DRG says, shall I file for a green card after almost 13 months of asylum approval, considering the facts? I don't know what the facts are, DRG. I can't recommend anything. I can only recommend stuff to my clients who hired me. So I haven't had a consultation with you. I can't give any recommendations here. To file for a green card after having asylum for a year, you could get a green card. Now, whether you should be it, I don't know. I don't know what the facts are in your case. Baby Square says, any hope with someone with prior 204C findings for marriage? I've been 8 years raising 2 kids for marriage number 1. 204C findings means they accuse you of marriage fraud. So it's very, very difficult to fix that. You got to somehow prove that the previous marriage was not fraud and file appeal or challenge this and that. But the longer time goes by, the harder it is. I'm not sure it's going to happen. It's a very difficult thing to do. ALS, how long does the habeas corpus take? We don't file habeas cases. It should be pretty immediate because you need immediate results from it for the government not to deport you. But we don't handle those cases. Timley says, how can you help check a status? Well, I don't know. There's different statuses you're trying to check. Depends on what your case is. And a lot of times it's online. Keisha, thank you for following. I appreciate that. If you haven't already, we hit 3,000 likes. Please like and share this feed. DRG says, like the current ICE news we have been hearing, I mean, my asylum case legit been here legally by air. I mean, if you have asylum approved, then you got to prove they're not going to hassle you unless there's some fraud they come out of it, which I doubt. So thanks for the gifter badge. The DG or Digger 81. Bob Square says, was placed in removal, but the judge dismissed the case in 2023. So what you mean by dismiss could vary. So what is it? What is the judge's final decision? You need to have that original documentation. But that's a complicated thing. You guys can work on it. AL already answered your question about how long habeas corpus takes. The point of a habeas case is to stop the government from kicking you out of the country or something like that in the immigration context. So if you got it, you got it. You'll know. Monir says, what about pending asylum for 3 years now? If you have pending asylum not approved, then those are just pending. I don't know what to tell you. CEUs are good to see you. Good afternoon as well. One of regulars, another regular, Eob says, hello, sir. Good to see you. I got my green card 2 years ago with my asylee, but I'm going to marry my fiance who's a citizen. We're going to start living together soon. So can I apply citizen a year instead of waiting 2.5 years? No, you have to be living with that U.S. citizen spouse for two years and 9 months. If you've already got your green card 2 years ago, but by the time you'll have lived 2 years and 9 months with your spouse, you're going to be hitting the regular 5-year mark anyway. So it's going to be good anyways. That's good too. Yeah. So it won't make a difference in your case, unfortunately. Bob Square says dismissed without prejudice. So do you have a 204C finding or do you not? So if it's dismissed without prejudice, that might be. We got to see what happened. I don't know. That's like we got to see what happened in your case. I can't answer that here. But thank you for the gifter badge. Topsteer says, my sister overstayed in USCI sent her an NTA. I'm sorry to hear that sucks. Monir says, what about pending Asylum 3? What about it? I don't know what to tell you. What about it? But thank you for the badges and the likes and everything. Sarah says, are adjustment of status marriage-based interviews different for people who are Iranian? No. Like additional questions or processing Canadian citizens or Iran? No, other than if it's a male, if they ask about IRGC SEPAH membership. But if they're already here in the United States, it's probably okay. But not really. The only difference is sometimes it takes a couple months longer to get the interview scheduled. That's the only thing I've seen. But it's not big. Olive says, sent heart. Thank you. First gift they've ever sent. Express appreciation. Thank you, all rough. Appreciate that. And becoming a #1 fan is very cool. What about pending Asylum 3 is now is it safe? I don't know, Munir. I can't tell you what's safe or not. Topsy says the NTA means she has to leave the country. No, NTA means it's a notice to appear in immigration court for deportation. So now that you got the notice, you need to get immigration as fast as possible to see how you close it and leave or what the situation is to deal with that. Our office doesn't handle immigration court cases, so we can't be of help, unfortunately. Bab Square says, my prior lawyer made a mistake and told the judge that my I-130 was approved, which was not approved. That's terrible. The judge would ask for proof of it. So what? Like, I don't know. That's a mess. You need to get a FOIA of the court hearing and see what happened. That's a messy situation. User asks, what about international students and traveling? What about them? You got to be more specific what your worry is. User number 3 got a gifter badge. Thank you so much. User, appreciate that. We're at 3,300 likes. Thank you. Can I have your contact? Sure. It's jqqlaw.com/contact. That's the best way to contact us through our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Do you think it's safe? Listen, is it safe to get in a car and drive to work in the morning? People get in car accidents. Do we buy insurance? So it's up to you whether you want to take the risk or not. And there's deeper stuff about your background, your history, what's going on, what country you're from, what issues are going on there. So nothing's ever safe in this world. It just depends on how much you want to deal with it and what your background is and stuff. Bab Square asks, very terrible, and hearing was canceled before the court date. So yeah, that's a disaster. The lawyer said that. That's malpractice. This is that's such a weird situation. I can't really advise you here. You need to get a lawyer that does removal proceedings and figure out what to do with that. Is it fast? Can you repeat your contact, please? It's our website, jqqlaw.com. J as in Jack, Q as in Queen, K as in King, law, LAW.com. And then click on the contact link right there. And then fill in the box your name and contact info, as well as a recap of what your issue is so we could see if it's the kind of case we handle. We don't handle every type of case. We don't handle asylum cases. We don't handle deportation removal. If you have arrested criminal history, we don't do that. But that's correct. JQKlaw is that, jqqlaw.com. Azim, good to see you again on the TikTok feed as well. We got a bunch of gift badges. Appreciate that, Azim Tayyab. Hab says, how to prepare for preliminary hearing. Well, you should have a lawyer with you, and that's really preliminary hearing is just a basic thing for you to talk about. Essentially, if you're guilty or innocent in immigration context, if you have challenging stuff or you're finding in defense and stuff like that. But you have an immigration lawyer help you. But I don't handle court cases, so I'm not a good resource for that. Zishan says, can someone on B1, B2 come to USA for marriage? They could come to get married. It's not illegal to get married on a tourist visa, but you can't come with the intent to file for adjustment of status for a green card in the United States. That's like immigrant intent. They don't like you doing that. Bobster said, I currently have a bona fide under a U visa. Okay. I mean, the U visa doesn't give you removal protections, unfortunately, under a Trump administration. I have a 4-year work permit. That's good. But a 204C finding, I'm not sure if a U visa is a waiver for that, but a 204C finding, if it has happened, is very serious. It's very rare things that can fix that. Though it depends on what actually happened. Now, how long did it take for you to get the receipt notice on your case? I filed the U visa 4 months ago. Still haven't gotten a receipt notice. And that's happening to a lot of VAWA and U visa cases. MGS says, does the 42B need to be completed before the master hearing? I don't handle court cases, so I don't deal with cancellation and stuff like that. I'm not an expert on that. So I'd recommend contacting another firm for that. But thank you for the gifter badge, though. I wish I could answer you. But I only talk about things that I have like day-to-day knowledge of. Okay, we're nearing the end of the show. Thanks so much to everyone who came and answered some good questions. I appreciate that on Instagram, on TikTok, and on YouTube. App Square says, I had a receipt notice in a month. Oh, wow. How long ago did you send it? What month and year was it? Because I sent it, 4 months ago in June-ish, I think it was. Got my work phone for 6 months. Yeah, well, that's great. You probably submitted a long time ago because right now everything's super delayed. Hopefully, my client is really frustrated, but like that's what all the lawyers are saying. They're having the same situation. October 2024. Okay, it might be a newer thing that delays are happening, but it's very frustrating. I'm glad you got your stuff together though. All right, we're about to end the show. We only got a few more minutes. If you have some questions, please ask them and share the feed so other people can learn about this live show that we're doing and could ask some questions as well. And I appreciate everyone who's joined and liked. We got 4,000 likes. That's incredible. Thank you everyone for pressing that button. I appreciate it. We got EAD in May. Well, that's wonderful. I worked relatively fast. An immigration timeline, that's like in no time, but that's great to hear that you got that. Maria asks, ICE arrested will show on people's background check for employment. I don't know. It depends on what kind of background check they do. FBI background checks typically will show ICE arrest, but it depends on how well they fill out the background check. So you could get your own background check done and check for yourself what it was. But if ICE arrested you, you don't have a work authorization probably. So hey, if someone's doing a background check for employment, they can't hire you anyway. So it's kind of a catch-22, right? I'm using that phrase right. Camila, thank you for sharing the live. I appreciate that. Very kind of you, Queen Camilla, and everyone who liked 4,200 likes. Appreciate that. Bam, thanks for joining. Muhammad asks, had our interview 8 months ago, no decision. Any suggestion? Well, talk with the immigration attorney to go through what happened at the interview and your paperwork to see if there's any red flags that you didn't notice. Potentially, it might just get approved, or potentially you're down the road of having like an investigation happen if it's that long. Or it could be the government just lost your file, so you can send them a letter of reminder. It really depends. It could be down all these different roads, but we got to check it one by one. First, see what happened at the interview. Secondly, at the same time, really what your documents look like, your backgrounds, what it is that could be potentially a problem. And then contacting the government for delays or being prepared for an investigation and how to prepare for that. Hunter, thank you for joining on YouTube. Hello to you as well. And Mohammed, thank you for the badge. Chagman, thank you for following. Camille, thank you for sending the hearts. Cutest asks, hi, can you say how long an I-601 waiver take you right now? 1 to 4 years right now, unfortunately. I got one approved recently, I-601A waiver, and it took like 3 years. But it's in the years most of the time. Bob says, I read online that someone can get a waiver for 204C only under U visa. So I don't really focus on 204C too much, but I think like asylum waives it, maybe use a waiver. I don't remember. It's not something that comes up for me. I don't accept those cases, so I'm not sure. So what can I do then? Mohammed, schedule a private consultation. We'll go over your application first that you submitted. Hopefully you have a copy of it. Most of the time people don't if they file on their own. So I can see where there's sometimes people like I see their forms and they're just missing large chunks of it, or they say the complete wrong thing that's not even true by accident. So we got to see what was in there. And then I got to talk with you and be what happened in the interview, what the officers say, what answers you give, what questions they have. And then maybe I can catch stuff. And if nothing, you kind of write them a letter and say, okay, write the field office, say, hey, could we help you? What's going on? Maybe you got a congressperson to contact them. And then if nothing's happening, maybe they're going to do an investigation and how to prepare and everything like that. So we got to just have a conversation. We got to see what's going on. We got to talk. Maria says, I have a valid work authorization. Where can I run my own background check? Thanks. You can do an FBI background check. Just look up FBI rap sheet. And in the state you're in, you could also do a state background check. Just, just type in Google. It's all ChatGPT. It tells you how to do it. All right, my throat's starting to burn out, and we hit the 30-minute mark we're about to. So any last questions, please let me know. Chagman says, I wanted court for my hearing. They said my case was not brought to court. If you're talking about immigration case, check your alien number on the EOIR website, see what's going on there. Contact ICE, or if you have a notice, what does the notice say? You got to get an immigration and see what's going on. Sometimes ICE will issue court hearings that don't exist, so that does happen. But you got to get to the bottom of that, because if they say you missed the court hearing, they're going to automatically give you a deportation order. Hunter says, I came on an F1 visa and changed to B1 extension and overstayed 4 years and 4 years on paper. ICE caught me. I paid bond $5,000, came out. I'm married now, applied I-130 processing time. Who knows? Because you're in the court system right now. And so you got to deal with I-130 while in court. So you got to adjust status in court. It depends on how backed up they are. And because you got married after having an NTA, probably, I think, you have to have higher standard to prove, instead of a preponderance of evidence, is clear and convincing evidence that your marriage is not fake. And also ask for is a special paperwork, not special, but just write a letter asking for a waiver of forgiveness. That's explain the situation that you're doing in court, that you have this higher standard. You need an immigration attorney. So the processing times don't matter. It's not so much you need to worry about. You got bigger worries that you're in court and ICE is there, and you got to do adjustment in court because you got to terminate your court case and go to USCIS, which you probably won't do nowadays. So you probably have to do your case in court, and so that's the whole thing right there. And you have to have been married to a U.S. citizen. Married to a green card holder won't help. Queen says I-130 by LPR for spouse outside U.S. May 2023 went actively reviewing to be processed. What does that mean? It doesn't. They just changed this stuff. Doesn't mean anything other than just pending. And I mean, May 2023, probably another day to another year for that I-130 to be approved. Unfortunately, so don't worry about what it says website because it's so unreliable. The website says, but those are taking 2 to 3 years for F2A I-130s. Juan says I connected the center. I got the response saying extended reviewing. Okay, so I would have an attorney review with you if you haven't used an attorney already to see what was there. And then be prepared potentially do investigation or prepare just basic reviews. It could be anything really. We don't know. But we try to identify stuff. It's like going to a doctor and having some issue that they don't know what it is. So they do a bunch of tests and they may find a thing or might say no one knows. That kind of stuff. It's like going to a doctor dealing with a lawyer. Black Widow says, how are paying the I-589 fees helping cases whose case been since 2016? It's not helping. Kumio says, thanks for answering my question. You're welcome, and thank you for sharing the feed, Queen. It was appreciated. Black Widow, thank you so much for the gift. And Gilly, can the I-45 be approved before I-130? Not technically, but sometimes you get notifications the I-45 is approved a day later I-130, but technically I-130 has to be approved for the I-45 to be approved. Dan says, when can you apply for asylum after entering on B-1 2? You can do it immediately. But you want to talk with immigration attorney as asylum cases first. Mirza, thanks so much for the gift. Black Widow, thanks for your next question. You're welcome. Mohammed, I was a victim. However, I dropped the charge on her. Is that the reason for delaying? I don't know. I don't know. Anything's possible, but I don't know your case. It's getting too case specific, so I can't really answer that. Balita, thank you so much for sharing this live feed. And Deep Black Masala, thanks for joining. Boomy Patel, thanks for joining. Hunter says, U.S. citizens, thanks. Can ICE get me again? Unfortunately, it can't. It's very annoying. Even though you got bond, they do stupid things. It's rare, but they do stuff like that. But you got to deal with a court case right now. So get an attorney, go to court. Gilly says, so the I-130 is automatically approved once no, they're separate approvals, but sometimes the guy presses the button or gal presses the button for the I-5 approval first, and you'll get the notification first. But technically, I-130 has to be approved first for I-45 because I-45 is based on the I-130. All right, this 32 minutes. We got 7,000 likes. Lost track of the likes. It went up. But thank you everyone for joining us in the likes. We'll be back again next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Take your questions. Dinzy asks, because someone was sharing that you would have to do it after 6 months when you're out of status. No, that's a bad idea. That's not it. Alan says, can I apply for asylum in the U.S. while I'm in my home country? Now, how are you going to file for asylum in the U.S. when you're in your home country? That's physically not possible. Gilly said, okay, thank you for answering my question. You're welcome, Gilly. Thanks for joining us. And follow us on YouTube. Look for JQK Law or U.S. Immigration Talk. And that's the best place to get our new videos. Almost every question asked here is on my YouTube page. But we always like to answer fresh as well. It makes it more funner and things change. Sometimes we need newer answers. Mohammed, thank you. You're welcome for that. And Black Widow, how long does I-130 take? I've been waiting 7 months. My son filed it. At least 12 to 14 months if it's a standalone I-130. And Gilly said my I-45 is approved, by the way. That's good. So I-130, you notice, you might not even get an approval notice online. You'll just get it on paper, but it's a mess. That's USCIS for you. Obviously says, once my interview, they said they can't do it because background check isn't clear. How long it'll take? You schedule? Don't know. Adam says, still watch this after you help you get the green card. Oh, thank you again, John Adam. Oh, thank you, Adam Z. Good to see you again. Oh, Adam, my friend Adam. Appreciate that. Adam Z. Congratulations on the success, the fast success. I think it only took 2 or 3 months. I appreciate that. Okay. Alan says, can an attorney help me apply for a US B-1B2 visa? Attorney can help, but like a lot of it's just a lot of work, but whether the government approves or not, it's up to the officer. Steve says, do you help citizens who have an immigrant spouse that use them? Not really. We don't, we usually help the immigrant side. So there's nothing to help on that end for us. Gilly said, my I-45 is approved. I-130 is under review. I don't understand why. They're probably making an error. They probably just haven't pressed the button because the I-45 is approved. You're going to get the green card, but they make a lot of errors. This happens. There's a million cases. So there's like always a percentage of stuff that just messed up stuff happens. Doesn't make sense. Dowsker says, for people that got arrested in court, do ICE already have their info or they randomly just arrest? They usually prepare for them to come. You're welcome, C user. And thank you, everybody. So I'll call it quits right there. God bless. Be safe. And I'll see you all next Tuesday.